All right. Good morning, everybody. So this is the first leadership jam session on Motivate with Diz. I've done one kind of unofficially with Jeff Bayless, and that's what we talk about all the time on here about how this page is so organic and how things move around, and we're just trying to figure our way out and how to influence people to be better versions of themselves. So Jeff and I had this leadership jam session, which I've dubbed it, where we just kind of sat around and chatted and we talked about things. And through that, we allowed the rest of everybody watching to be kind of a fly on the wall, watching just two ordinary guys with their own unique take on life, share ideas and share what's influenced our lives, so that maybe you can grow from it and learn something. And and then as this kind of became what it became, I knew who I wanted on here first, and that's D. Hairston. And D and I have known each other for about 5 or 6 years now. We served together at Recruit Training Command. We're both Master Chiefs in the United States Navy, so we are active duty. We are governed by the rules that are set forth for military members. So, our opinion is ours. It's not the Navy's, as we talk here on Motivate with Diz. Understand that again, we don't represent the Navy here on Motivate with Diz. It's just two guys who have a unique perspective on the world, who share a brotherhood through the Navy, and just through being, I think he's an amazing human being. So I'm blessed to be in the same company with him. And we're gonna chat for a while and go for about 30 or 40 minutes. And I'm gonna keep D talking. And it's great to have you here, D. I'm gonna unmute you here. So so how you doing, brother?
Hey man, couldn't be any better.
All right.
Woke up this morning, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I know I shocked you with all those text messages this morning. Like, come on, man, I need to get you on here. And I was probably blowing your phone up, and we finally got together. I was in the middle of I was 2.5 miles into a 5-mile run when you called me, or when I called you, and we finally linked up. So I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited to talk and share some ideas and let everybody listen. So I did a CMC call when I was at RTC, and you stood up, and this is one of the things I remember about you. And I shamelessly stole it. And a lot of the things that we say when we stand up and talk to folks, I know that we always steal them from other people and so on and so forth. But I had never heard this until you stood up and said it. And you said, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir, I do.
Yeah. So talk to me about your feelings about the journey.
Oh, absolutely. What I think the point that I was trying to get after with that is, I just think sometimes we get so focused on, getting to the finish line. All the fun stuff happens in between the start and finish. That's where you grow. That's where you fail. That's where you learn, develop, all of that good stuff. That's where you meet people, whether that's meet mentors or just realize that you're not perfect and you need some help. So all of that stuff in the middle, the meat, is all the fun stuff. So then when you get to the finish line, you get to, look back and just reflect on that actual journey that you've actually just grew. Whether you failed or not, you grew during that journey. So that's what I mean by that.
Yeah,
I gotta admit, Izzy, I'm a little nervous. I know my hands are moving like Rick. So just excuse me with some of that. So
that's all right, man. We're both passionate people. We like to do this a lot anyway, so it's all right. It's unscripted. Motivate is about as organic as it gets. That's why all of our videos are live, because it's real, it's raw, it's unedited, and that's why we do everything live, so people can kind of watch us as human beings, develop and unfold in front of them, and so that, to get back to the original conversation, that's just it, right? The journey, and getting to know people and learn from other folks as we go down that path. So when we're dealing with all those different folks, how do you find a way to get through to different people, right? Because we do meet people of different walks of life in our job. I'm very proud of our organization. I'm very proud of this country. You know that we both are very aligned in how we see things as when it comes, especially to diversity and differences. And, we can kind of circle back around to that at the end, like we discussed before. But how do you adjust your leadership style when you're dealing with different kinds of people or different people? And I don't mean, and again, not race necessarily, but I'm talking about people that approach life differently. How do you adjust your leadership style for them?
Well, number one is, and we've talked about this a lot too, it's about building relationships, right? And the first thing you can do is you just listen, right? Because I can get up there and talk to people and say how I feel all day long. But really, if you're trying to build a relationship, you got to see how they feel too. And listen to them and see what how they were raised, their morals, and just listen to them. And that's how you get to know them. And I'll give you a quick example of, I remember at my last command, I was talking and we scanned the room, right? We try to see people reactions, right? And I just had a guy who would just he just acted like he just would rather be somewhere else, right? So not saying that he wasn't listening, but I was like, man, how can I reach him? What do I have to do? So I did some recon, right? Which nobody knew about. So I found out what he actually liked. He liked the Jacksonville Jaguars. So what did I do? I go up to Petty Officer Google on the internet, looked up a lot of, the Jaguar stuff, their players, their record and their coach. And that's how I sparked the conversation with him. And after that, he started talking to me, and we, coke and joke a little bit, and, got to know each other. But that's me making not toot my own horn, but I, that put in the extra effort to try to get to know people, because it's not all just about me, because, we work for them. So I just decided, like, how do I get through to this kid? And it worked, and we still talk today.
No shit, or no kidding.
Yeah.
Cussing's all right. So, you talked about feedback in a room when you were doing an all hands call. I did a video about leading through the mask.
Mm-hmm.
Have you, I was doing Sailor 360 on at my command is developing into a really interesting animal, and that is a completely different 45-minute to 3-hour conversation about how we're doing that. But one of them is through CMC calls, and you get a group of sailors into a room, and they're all wearing masks. Like, 'cause our biggest room is the mess decks right now, and I'm doing it by pay grade so I can really spread them out. And when you talk to a room, feedback is really, really, really important. And in body language is extremely important. And you lose a large piece of that body language when you can't read someone's face. And when their face is covered, you have no idea what's going on. They could be smiling and their eyes aren't smiling, and you have no idea. So have you experienced that where, you're in a room with 100 people, and you're trying to guide the conversation, and you have zero feedback, because everyone's wearing a mask? How are you dealing with that?
Absolutely. I really try to read their emotions by their inflection and tone in their voice, because it's really hard. Because, as you know, when you're talking to somebody, you can tell what they're thinking just by their mannerisms, or, just a lot of facial expression. But if you only just have the eyes, it's hard.
Yeah.
So that's how I try to decipher what they're thinking, by just really by, their eyes and their inflection and tone. And it's still hard, so I mean, it takes away a lot of what we look for with in leaders when we're talking to them. It takes it away. So we just have to figure it out. So I listen for that tone.
Yeah. So one of the groups of pay grades, I wasn't getting the feedback I was looking for. So me, man, I'm instant feedback guy. And I actually let the group know how I felt. I'm like, look, you're not, I'm here spending my time with you. And, you mentioned this too. I'm a servant leader. I put my uniform on for you. And and the room was not giving me anything back. And I let him know. I said, "You're not leaning in. You're all, I turned and looked at one guy, and he had his eyes closed. I said, "You're sleeping, and this, that, and I'm shooting, shotgun blast to the face and letting them know you're not giving me that feedback." And you could almost tell the tone changed in the room. It wasn't in a negative way, right? I just like, hey, I'm here for you. You need to give me some feedback. And people started leaning into the conversation. And that poor guy who fell asleep actually apologized to me when I came across the quarterdeck 2 days ago, which is fine. I told him, I said, look, man, I'm the kind of guy that moves on. I said what I needed to say, and we're moving on. I'm not holding nothing against you. Great sailor, great young man. And but people don't realize that we're missing a big piece of that conversation when because we're wearing masks now, right? We have to lead from behind that mask, and we also have to follow from behind that mask. And one of the things I was talking about in that CMC call was communication is always a big one that we deal with in the survey, right? In our command climate surveys. And the complaint is, leaders don't communicate enough. They don't communicate enough. What I was actually doing was teaching them how to listen. So there's active communication, and then there's active listening, right? Have you ever had that conversation with a group of young people about, hey, I am telling you 15 times, you're just not listening. Mm-hmm. I mean, right? So do you ever get into the active listening in your world?
Oh, absolutely. Like communication in the military has been especially in the Navy, it's been an issue since October 13th, 1775. Right. So
yeah.
Constantly reminded that when we do, midterms and stuff like that, that's one of the, because a lot of sailors don't put that. I put it, that's with my pencil, I put communication. So we can always get better. But that the active listening part is, I think, the part that we miss a lot. Because sometimes people are gonna want to hear what they want to hear, and they're gonna start thinking of a rebuttal before they finish listening to what you're putting out. And it's just one of those things. It's a drum beat. I think if we continue to beat the drum on it, they'll, as they mature through the ranks, they'll start to get it. But it's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Guys want to hear what they want to hear. But long as you keep beating the drum, I do believe as they move up, they're going to realize what you were doing and why you were doing it. They're like, man, that's what he was trying to teach me when I was bullheaded E4, E5. I need to listen.
Yeah.
It's just a drum beat. And I always put in my mind, October 13th, 1775. It's been a problem.
Yeah. Well, so let's go a little bit to you, man. Let's talk about you. What has shaped your outlook on life? You're from Alabama, right? Mississippi. That's right. Sorry, Mississippi. So tell me what's shaped your outlook on life. And what shapes your everyday approach to things in the world today?
Well, I would just say simply, man, as you know, one of my, my mom is a superhero to me, right? Superhero. So really, I just try to, I wake up and try to be better. Just one of the number one thing she taught all of us when we were kids was, it's an A word, appreciation. Be appreciative for whatever somebody do for you, right? So every day is a gift, and I'm very appreciative to wake up in the morning, and I just strive to be. She always taught us to try to be better today than you were yesterday, right? Try to be nicer. Try to be better than everything you did yesterday. You could be better today. So we just a smart woman, man. To raise 6 kids and 5 boys and 1 girl, man, she was awesome. So really taught me a lot, and just humble beginnings and just being appreciative and a good attitude and a good work ethic. She always taught us that if you have that, those are the keys to life, really. A good attitude. And I'll ramble on for a second here. Yesterday, I went out to a store, a gas station, and I met a guy. He seen me in all red and black, He was like, "Oh, you must be a Georgia fan." No, not exactly, because I had on red and black. And anyway, we just started talking, and that's what I'm used to, right? And it took me a while to get used to it, though. I'm from the South, right? So when I walk by somebody, I like to say, "Hey, how you doing, sir? How you doing, ma'am?" Doesn't matter, right? That's just how I am,
Right.
and that's how that conversation started. So it took me a while because the city life is sometimes it's not like that. People will just walk by you, and at first that used to piss me off because my mom, you walk by somebody or doesn't matter who they are, you don't say good morning, ma'am, good morning, sir. That's a problem,
Mhm.
So, but it just happened yesterday, right? And it just turned out to just a great conversation for like 30 minutes, and all I wanted to do was get gas and come back home, right? So just stuff like that, man. Just the people part, just meeting somebody, and just being nice to people and saying hello, turned out to be we knew the same people. He knew exactly where I lived. We talked about the Columbus Air Force Base. Just a simple hello, and man, I might have just found a new friend just by being nice to somebody. Just stuff like that. That's the stuff I was raised, and that's why I am who I am.
Yeah, you again. This is why you and I are so close, because people is what drives me to. You call me on my run. I'm pretty sure I'm known as the big bald guy who runs the neighborhood without a shirt on and waves at everyone. Right? This is what I do, and you, unfortunately, and let's delve into it. Okay, so with what's going on in the world today, it creates although it was not something that drove me in the past, it really bothers me is that now you wonder if people are going to judge you, for what you look like. And I was raised by my moms to never judge someone by the color of their skin. And I live in an extremely diverse neighborhood. I would say it's not the most diverse neighborhood I lived in, because I just came from Chicago a couple years ago, and up in Zion, it's pretty diverse up there. But it's really close to what Zion was. And when you run down the street, you see faces that all look different. And what brings a joy to my heart is because I wave at everyone. About 95% wave back. The 5% that don't wave back are on their phone and almost hit me with their car. So there's that, right? And I'm okay with with the other 5%. I just want them to be safe and not kill me. But I will say that people greet you with a smile no matter what you look like. And if you get away from the news and you allow the beauty of people to really just shine through, your faith in humanity can be renewed if you don't watch too much of whatever news channel you prefer to watch. And you and I have talked about that a lot. You want to delve into it?
Oh, absolutely. So I mean, I'm me and you we actually think a lot alike, man. I'm the same way. Like I said, I don't care what you look like. If I'm walking by you and we make eye contact, I feel like I need to say something like hello, good morning, good evening, and
Yeah.
I do that. And
Yeah.
I teach my kids to do the same thing too. Doesn't matter what you look like. And I agree with what the news say, but the news to me doesn't just reflect on a lot of just the majority of the good stuff happening around here, right? Um, so obviously they get paid to talk about, I guess, the bad. I don't know, but I'll tell you how I feel about it, right? So I was born in Mississippi, right? I'm an American, right? So that's what that means to me. I'm a freaking American. So when somebody say Americans, that applies to me. I was born right here. Can nobody ever take that away? So I don't know. Uh, and we talked about this too, the utopia that everybody, I guess, is expecting to happen, or how do we get to it? I don't know. I really just I focus on how I could be better because it's really about, I think, if we take the ownership of ourselves and our actions, we can make this because the preamble to the Constitution starts out, you know, for the people, right? We the people, we can fix this crap. We don't need news to tell us how to do it and how to only. To me, the reason why I don't watch it a lot because it does create some division. I think we just need to focus on how we can fix this thing as an individual first, then collectively as a group. We can fix it. Because man, I'm 40 years old, man, and I don't know how much time I got left, but I'm definitely not about to spend it doing crazy crap. I want to love on my family. I want to be the best Master Chief I can be while I'm still doing it. That's what I want to focus on. I want to focus on all the dumb crap, right? So I'm American first. So when people say, we'll try to separate you by, race and color, and I think that people that cannot treat people like Americans, they need to leave the freaking country. They need to leave if they cannot, because to me the flag is for, liberty, freedom, and justice for all. If you cannot treat people like that, hey, get on a plane and go somewhere else. Treat everybody the same. So that's just how I feel about it, man. But I'm not about to let, some people that can't do that. You're not about to control my life or have me walking around here mad. And I look at everybody the same. Not because the Navy charges me to do that and I'm held accountable for treating people like that. That started at home for me a long time ago. So that's why that part is easy.
I tell that story too. About my mom, smacking me in the face when I learned that new word in preschool, and it started with an N.
Yeah.
And she was in that left-hand turn, and I'm telling you, I swear to God, I was 3 or 4 years old. I remember my mom smacking me in the mouth for using that word. And we were just talking about it a couple weeks ago, and she said, "That's right, because we don't use that word." I'm 46, and my mom's still, kind of poking me. And my mom's 5'2". I'm a foot taller than her. I weigh probably about 120 pounds more than she does, and she still scares the crap out of me.
Yeah.
And that's the way we were raised. It kind of goes back to moms and who rules the roost, and really is ingrained those morals and ethics into us. I see people for what they're worth, for who they are, and every human being has worth, and conveying that on a daily basis really shouldn't necessarily be a full-time job. What it should be is just we treat each other with dignity and respect, and then we appreciate each other for it. Instead of walking into a room wondering if we're going to be judged for who we are, what we look like, or even what we wear on our collar, because we get that too, right?
Oh yeah.
And the fact is especially in our organization, we wouldn't get where we are wearing that collar device or that cookie without treating people with dignity and respect for more than a few years, decades, right? So yeah, man, that's some beautiful stuff. It's just loving people and just uniting, being united, and showing unity and finding purpose through that. That's a really big deal. So tell me, we'll talk about one more topic, because this is Motivate with Iz.
Mm-hmm.
What is the key motivator for you when you get up every day, and what motivates D? What gets D going?
Man, I tell you, I've been saying this a long time, and some people probably say it's cliche or it's not the truth. But I get up in the morning, right, and when you put your uniform on, and I look at my family name, man, even if I had hair and all of that stuff, it'll stand up. Stand up on the back of my neck, and United States Navy, right? So I get to really to represent people I don't even freaking know in 50 states, right? And the combination of those two things, like when I put that uniform on, I'm telling you, I've been saying it for a while. I feel like a superhero. I do. I put it on, and even more so on the days that you wake up and you're tired, you're frustrated, you're angry, don't know how you're going to make it through the day. And because every day runs into another, and you look down and you see that, man, I'm telling you, I want to fly out the door. I feel like I can just fly to work without even driving, because I know that Hairston family name. I just think back to my mom, my grandma. Think about my kids. That they get to, when I come home, they get to see me in a uniform and asking me about, what do I do and all of that. Um, I'm telling you, it's just a feeling that never gets old. So that's what motivates me, and just really just going to work, interacting with people, um, every day, because that's what we do. When I try to sit down in the office and really like, okay, I got to get this work, and I learned something, when I became a CMC, right after I went to my first command. I remember sometimes, I would walk in your office, right, and we'll just chat about some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized it came to me like, when I'm sitting in my office and somebody come talk to you, you have something to do, right, as a CMC, right? Maybe some people don't understand it; they just think we sit there and chill. I realized that you really do have a lot to do, whether it's answering the mail, doing evals, doing recognition programs. You always have something to do. So when you stop doing that and turn away from the computer to address whatever they want to address, man, that's a big thing, because essentially all you're doing is production. You stop in production, right,
Mm-hmm.
while you're rolling. So, and that's a big part of our job is time, because time is, excuse me, time is really the most precious thing that we have on this planet, right? So when you give somebody some of that, man, that's a huge thing, because we only have a limited amount of it. So I think when you stop what you're doing and you talk to people, and it, like I said, it took me I had to figure that out when I went to go do my first CMC tour. Like, when I used to come in there and talk to you, you stop what you're doing, you essentially stop and work, right? Because a lot of the stuff that we do, man, it's like, you can be there for a while, but
Yeah.
when you stop to talk to somebody, and they probably don't understand it, they just think that you're just stopping, and it it affects nothing, but it really does. But it makes you feel good when you can just give somebody that time.
Yeah. So that there were two things that popped into my mind while you're talking there. Let's talk about time first, and then I want to talk about morale real fast. So RTC is a great example. Recruit Training Command, for those that aren't familiar with it, is the only boot camp in the United States Navy, and that's where D and I actually met. He made Master Chief and Command Master Chief there, which I couldn't be more proud of where he's at now. But it's a busy job. It's a super busy job. I always called it like sitting behind the controls of the Death Star, with that big desk and a gigantic office that, most CMCs don't ever have. And, and there's, while I think the number that went through boot camp while I was personally there was right around 100,000 people were trained and brought into the United States Navy. So about a third of the Navy were trained while you and I were both there. And, that's a big administrative burden on top of the actual day in and day out operations. I call it the Disney World of the military. There's so much stuff going on behind the scenes. Not quite as fun as Disney World, I'm pretty sure, and nobody wants the head of the line privileges there. But either way, it's a huge operation. And when I turned over with Matt, I was I kept my open door policy, and what I realized really, really quickly, especially in that job, was that the stack of folders that was normally, about this big, depending on the day, it was going to have to wait. So those folders would sometimes sit there until 1800 before I could get going. It was 6 o'clock at night, and now everybody's at home or with their divisions, and nobody wants to roll in and out of my office because it's not as easy to roll in at 1800, because that requires you to be at work a little later. But that's when the administrative work got done. Was, okay, I got to get these folders off my desk today so that the XO can see them tomorrow and the CO can see them the day after. You have to get that stuff out, because guess what's coming tomorrow is another stack of folders this tall. So, and each folder is someone's life too, right? Somebody's depending on you to do something. So everyone deserves your time. And that's kind of the way I look at the folder, especially evals, because evals is that little thin piece of paper, right? Right. But there's, so many of them. And now, ironically, I'm at a command that's even bigger. Yeah. And but what I would say is that that's someone's life, and they deserve that time, and they're looking to you to give them that time, and that little bit of time can change someone's life, right? So when you dedicate that time, and I'm glad, I'm flattered that you noticed, that you recognized it, maybe took it on board for your own leadership toolbox, is that, hey, people deserve that time. And, to be honest with you, though, that is what makes you get up in the morning and go to work, really, like you're talking about. It's the morale piece. Let me get to that one too. Let me talk about morale real fast. So especially in the military, we talk about morale a lot, right? And I want you to weigh in on this, because this is something I've come to talk about a lot, especially with my current unit. We talk about morale. So how do we define morale? A lot of young folks would say it's time off, it's quality time at home, it's being rested, it's a lot of these things that are very personal, right? But I challenge anybody out there to tell me that if they've got everything squared away at home, they're in the best marriage in the world, they've got all the toys, and trust me, I'm a toy guy. All the toys in the world, they got all the money in the bank, they don't have to worry for nothing, but they hate getting up and going into work every day, and they hate what they do, that their morale is high. I challenge you to tell me that their morale is high. If you hate what you do on a daily basis, if you don't like the people you work with, you don't enjoy the work you do, you don't enjoy going into work, then morale, no matter how good things are at home, morale in your organization is going to be in the tank, right? So how do you get after morale? How do you get people to want to come to work? The way I see it, and I want to ask you to weigh in on this, the way I see it is, you have to build a team. You have to build an organization worth working for. You have to build an trust with your people, and then you have to make sure that they understand the mission and they're excited about getting the mission done, because mission accomplishment is winning, and winning equals morale. What do you think?
Hey, I agree. One of the things that what I do, right? And it's funny because I just had this conversation the other day. Especially with new check-ins, because I was at the command that I'm currently at. I was here as a first-class petty officer, right? So, and it was a great command. We had a engaged chief mess, and everything that we did, it was really it was a healthy competition between the chiefs and the first classes, right? Where Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we played volleyball, softball, and we always wanted to beat them. And guess what? It wasn't a requirement. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 05:30 at Building 4, we would just line up over there just to kick the Chiefs' ass, right? And and it wasn't a requirement, but every one of those days we were there. So what I've told these guys is, if you don't like the morale around here, you are welcome to come to my office. You and the president, the vice president, come to my office and tell me how we can fix it. I'm empowering you to do it, right? So it's some great ideas coming up, right? Because like you said, it's a hard thing, but I'm putting it in their plate now. I'm kind of advising here and there, but I want since they're closest to my most junior guys, I want you guys to figure it out. Tell me how I can take this plan to the CEO and sell it. And I mean, they coming up with some stuff, because I agree. I'm huge on, when you get up in the morning, I don't want you driving to a place that absolutely sucks. You actually dread going there.
Mm-hmm.
I put it in their plate. Well, tell me how to do it. Tell me how I can help you, right? Obviously, you know, you're never really going to get everybody to buy in. You're just not. Some people it's going to be negative and all of that. But those are the people I'm putting pressure on to like, okay, well, tell me how to fix it. And I'll do everything I can to help you fix it. But I want people to get up and be motivated to come to work. It starts there because production increases, teamwork, all of that stuff. It could be through the roof if we can figure it out. So I said all of that to say my number one thing is really empowering people to do it.
Nice.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Hey, man, I've enjoyed the conversation with you. Anything you want to say to close out?
Man, hey, I appreciate it. Being the first guy, like you said earlier, man. I woke up, I was nervous. I'm like forgetting to do stuff, couldn't find my glasses. Like, some glasses were off, so I couldn't see them, so I couldn't find my glasses. My daughter had to give them to me. Like, there's your glasses, and I'm like, I was a soup sandwich this morning, right? Because I was nervous and excited at the same time. Because everything we talked about is really damn near everything we talk about when we talk on the phone.
Yeah.
Right? So I appreciate the opportunity, man. It was fun. Look forward to doing it again someday about some other stuff.
Well, yeah, I'd like to do a much larger, like a group talk. We get a couple more different leaders. Maybe we find just one topic that we tackle for 20 or 30 minutes, and definitely have you on for that because the way that you talk to other people is just I admire you. You treat everybody with dignity and respect. It just kind of it just kind of seeps out of your pores. So I admire that about you. And, it's been an honor to have you on, brother. Like I said in my first video, you were the guy I wanted to get on here and, and have this talk with and interact with on here. I think that people like you are the world changers. You really are. If people can emulate you and be a little bit more like you, then the world's going to be a better place. So thanks for being you. Thanks for being on. And it's been a great honor. So to everybody else, hey, thanks for joining us. I know the numbers have gone up and down watching us. I know this will get a little bit of play. It's a longer video, so maybe not as much, but I really appreciate you joining us and listening in on this leadership jam session. Do me a favor, keep being better versions of yourself on a daily basis. Love you, mean it, motivate.